Neil Haley Show on the Reset Wellness Medical and Wellness Center podcast with the presenter Neil Haley, and I'm here with Julie Ferguson from Reset Medical. Julie, last time we talked, it was such a powerful story. You told your story and how you got a job out of that to work with patients on helping them with their story. But it's all about the story of transformation. And once you get the reset, things change dramatically in your life. But what I wanted to talk about is more of your role before, after, kind of when you're talking to them about potentially doing this and what you learned from that process. How are you today, Julie?
Sure. It's nice to see you again, Neil. Thank
Yeah.
you. Um, the one thing I love to talk about is our patients because having this job, truthfully, this isn't a job. This is a calling. We're all here for a mission, and the mission is healing. And I think that it resonates with every one of us in different facets. So when patients are brave enough to pick up the phone, and I do say brave because imagine yourself sitting there, high anxiety, overwhelmed with depression, almost debilitated sometimes, people that are not functioning as well as they should in their day-to-day life. Like in your mind, you want to be a better person, but you can't physically get there. The first thing is I commend them for picking up the phone to call us because I think that is a very big, important step. And I'm always so grateful when they call. And we have very candid conversations about what brings them to us. We are not salespeople on the side of the phone who are selling encyclopedias or anything of that sort. We are trying to help people heal. Um, and so when people pick up the phone, I just kind of go through their symptoms. Tell me about you. Tell me what you're feeling. Tell me about the day-to-day life that you're leading. What are some of the things that you would want to see get better, improve? What are you struggling with the most? What is the hardest thing for you? And we have very candid conversations about what the NSR will do and not do for them. I'm not here to lie to people. If people think that it's going to perform a miracle. It is not. However, it is going to give them space to have a lot of healing.
Yes, and a change that they've not seen for a long, long time. And
Correct.
what types of things do you see when people call you that want to get the NSR treatment?
So our patient population varies. We have every age group you can imagine. We've treated everyone as young as, I believe, 14, all the way to later 80s, 87, but don't quote me on that. Um, and the symptoms vary person to person. Oftentimes there's a commonality in that they're not sleeping or not sleeping well or not sleeping through the night. They wake up in the middle of the night and they can't fall back asleep. Other people are just high anxiety that's impeding their day-to-day life, that they can't do the things that they used to love. It may be going to their child's baseball game. It could be going to the grocery store. It could just be social settings in general. Um, I had one patient tell me that every morning they woke up, they had to listen to music because it would fill the space, especially if their husband was not home. And I thought that was quite interesting that, they needed this kind of entity to be there to feel safe in their own home. And as soon as they had the treatment, that all went away. And ironically, they didn't even notice it at first. It took a couple weeks for them to even notice that they were waking up in the morning and noticing that they didn't need the music on in the morning. Again, this can't perform miracles, but it can help people deal in their day-to-day life. The best way for me to describe it is that allows your body space and the space to really start to process through some of that anxiety. So it's not that you're never going to feel anxious. It's that your body and mind are going to connect now. And your mind is going to tell you that you're safe and that it's going to be okay and the body is going to calm down.
And that's where you get to process things more, which can be very emotional. And you talk about that from the beginning to the after and changing as a person in so many ways because you're in, explain, Julie, because I know you have been in that fight and flight mode. And I have too. I have as well as a former professional wrestler. And
Hmm.
when I was separated before my divorce, I was in definite fight and flight. Explain that process and how it's very hard to process things, to make the right decisions, and to also feel safe.
Sure. One of the commonalities that we see in our military slash first responder patient population is the symptom of anger and agitation. And so when you're speaking about fight or flight, you have to look at their training, right? We are trained to be on high alert all the time. Every second of the day, you have to be on high alert because everything could potentially be a threat. The problem is you can't come off of that when you go back to your day-to-day life. When your spouse or someone is asking you to take out the garbage, you're still scanning for threats. When you go to the grocery store, you're still scanning for threats. So how do you come down from that? If that's what not only are you trained to do, but now your body is in constant hypervigilance, fight or flight mode, ready for that threat. It's hard for you can do a lot of therapy, you can do medication, you can do breathing, you can do yoga, and sometimes it just doesn't work. So I would say the anger and agitation is what resonates the most with people. That they're quick to fuse. They go from 0 to 100 very quickly. They're saying things that they don't really mean, and it's affecting their relationships around them. They have a lot of regret about that. There's not one patient I have spoken to in the past year that has said to me, gosh, I'm glad I said those things. They're always so remorseful. I want to be a better parent. I want to be a better spouse. So that is a huge commonality with the patients that we treat here.
No doubt. That's an important point you make. Is when you treat that basically they're at that phase. And most of them with high anxiety, you're in that fight and flight mode. And when you do that, that leads to more things to get you triggered to a level where you can be really anxious. You could not want to be in crowds. You might not want to do specific things. But with the NSR treatment, that happens. We'll talk of that in the after. So I'll get you back to that beginning phase when you ask those questions because people might be afraid. I don't want to
Mhm.
call Julie or someone at the reset
Aw.
and talk to them right now about potentially getting this procedure because I'm embarrassed or I don't believe it's going to work. So kind of explain a little bit more in that area.
Sure. Sometimes it takes people time to get through the door, and that's okay. We're very patient here. We are going to walk you through this step by step. We're going to hold your hand, sometimes figuratively and literally. Um, Whatever it takes for you to feel safe. I think safety is the big thing here. First of all, Reset Medical is not set up very I don't want to use the word clinical. It doesn't look very clinical. Let me phrase it that way. It does not look clinical. We look like a med spa, and that's intentional because we want you to come in and feel safe. We want you to be able to do your own research and education. We know this works. We've seen it work. We have the research to show that it does work. It can make a significant impact in people's lives. It can change people's lives. But the reality is, you have to be comfortable yourself. So do the research, look into it, ask people, look at our testimonials on our website. One of the things that I like to point out to patients is those websites on our website, I'm sorry, those testimonials on our website, we don't offer discounts for, we don't do a lot of the marketing things that other places do. Those are genuine, real, everyday people who want to share the transformation that they've encountered through this treatment. Um, and so, being anxious, it just sometimes takes time. I have talked to patients for months, and they will call me back and call me back, and we'll go through it again. And we'll go through it as many times as you need to understand it. Bring your family on board. We will do that also. I'll answer questions for spouses, for children, for parents, for friends, whomever you want to bring in. That's okay. We will do that for you.
So what do you think is that fear to finally do it? What do you feel is the fear? I'm not going to do this procedure. What have you seen when you've had these conversations with people?
It's the fear of the unknown. right? Is it going to work? I am very honest with patients that call. I want it to work for everyone. I will put that into the universe every time I hang up the phone with someone. Please, please, please make it work. The reality is it does not work for everybody. However, comparatively speaking to other modalities, the percentage is much, much higher. Our success rate is 75 to 80%. You have a 75% chance of getting better. And if you've done all the things, why not? Why not? What do you have to lose at this point, especially if it's debilitating and you're not functioning well in your day-to-day life? What do you have to lose? Try it.
Definitely. And in those conversations, what things that people share to you that you were very surprised about? Just the fear of their life or how their life was just in turmoil at times because of their anxiety, depression, and PTSD?
Sure. I think one of the biggest fears is it going to make me worse? And the answer to that is no. The studies indicate, and I have looked at them myself, even though I'm not a clinician, um, that is not the case. Um, it's either going to work on some level or it's not going to work at all, and there's going to be no change. I would say that is the biggest hesitation in doing the process. The other hesitation or fear might just be the actual procedure. So I take the time to walk them through what it looks like when they walk through the door here. From the moment they step foot and meet the receptionist to the time that we bring them into recovery and the follow-up after. Um, we are quite a different clinic in that we encompass following the person after treatment. This isn't a turnstile operation. We're going to come in, give you a few injections and call it a day and push them out the door. That's not who we are. We're vested. We're vested in you, and we're vested in the success of your mental health and healing.
Yeah, and that's definitely what you guys are, is you're able to see that and the importance of treatment. As last time in the last podcast with Dr. Lowers, he talked about how you guys are different in your SGB uh, or NSR, which you guys call it, and what are the
Yes.
differences of how you do the treatment. So I think one of the things that we didn't talk a lot about is when you go to get the treatment, how nice you guys are, how it doesn't feel like a medical building, how it is warm and friendly and inviting, and everyone is here to help and they're rooting for you. I feel that's important. So share those the points is that it doesn't feel like you're in a clinical building. It doesn't feel like you're in a medical facility when you walk into the reset.
Correct. Yeah, I'm going to steal the slogan, when you're here, your family. Okay. And I tell everyone that, and that is really the truth. So by the time that you leave on your first treatment day, you can feel it. We are are going to walk you through this. We're going to hold your hand the whole way. We do not look like a clinical facility, a medical standardized building, with the white walls and white coats and all that stuff. That's not what you're walking into. You're going to be greeted. Listen, I hug probably about 80% of the people that walk through the door. We hug them when they come in, we hug them when they leave. We learn about them, their life. We're vested in whom they are. It's very important to us. The other part of it is too, like, we have snacks and drinks and anything you could want. So while you're doing the procedure, your loved one can sit on a comfy couch and do whatever they need. Listen, we've had children here, we've had parents here. Um, we've had people who've had to take, emergency meetings for work, and we put them in a room to take those calls. Whatever it takes to get you here through the door to start your healing journey is what we're going to do. We're
Yeah.
committed to that.
And that's the powerful thing that you guys do. I mean, because that's so important to make it like family. A lot of times you go into a health practice, I mean, the amount of time you could spend with Dr. Lowers compared to anyone else that
Hmm.
does a procedure is far more. And that's the clinical side, that's the psychological side, that's the whole human element. And that's the thing
Correct.
that's missing in healthcare right there.
Yes. Yes. And myself as a person that onboards people and patients every day, I definitely go out of my way to meet them so they know what I look like, and they can meet me in person. They know I'm real. I'm not someone in another state or country or, that I'm here for them. So that to me is the best part of this job, actually being able to meet them in person.
Yeah, absolutely. So in that, the process is Dr. Lowers talks to the patient, has that so explain a little bit about that. So once you arrive at Reset for the procedure, it usually takes 2 days. Explain how that works.
Sure. So you will come into our clinic. It's 2 days outpatient. You will be here approximately 2 hours each day. When you walk in, you'll be greeted by our receptionist, Lorena. She's lovely. Um, you will be brought into a room. Once you're brought into the room, one of the nurses will come in. And the first part is they're just going to go over your medical history. They are going to take your vitals, and then they're going to put an IV into your arm. Every patient gets an IV, and that is just a safety precaution in case you need fluids at any time while you're with us. Once they are finished, Dr. Lowers, as you mentioned, who's a very compassionate, kind doctor, is really going to take some time just to get to know you. He's not going to go over and through all the clinical stuff. He just wants to get to know you at first and understand your symptoms and learn about what your goals are or your expectations for treatment. He will also then provide a 5-step follow-up care plan for you so that you have something to fall back on after treatment. Once that's completed, then you will go into the actual procedural room. And I always tell people this is the fastest part and also the most anticlimactic. People build it up in their minds, but it's pretty simplistic. You're going to lay on a bed. He's going to take out an ultrasound. He's going to look at those areas of your neck and look for the sympathetic nerves. He's going to map it out. And then he's going to make an injection. The first injection is a numbing agent. So it's very similar to going to the dentist. That's how I equate it. And then he will make the subsequent injections. And for people that are fearful, I personally didn't find it very painful. You are going to feel pressure. Um, but again, 15 minutes later, 20 at the most, you are done. The best part about that is people can feel instant relief right at that moment. And sometimes people even get an emotional release, which is pretty amazing to watch. And that can look like laughing or crying, or sometimes a combination of both. And that's okay. Again, we're here to support you. And so we will give you a little bit of space to kind of process through what is ever coming up. And then we'll bring you into recovery. And you'll hang out with us for about 45 minutes to an hour. We're going to check on you. We're going to give you snacks. We're going to give you drinks. You're going to be in a recliner. We have blankets that you're covered with. It's a very healing space.
And then it doesn't end there. And this is probably the biggest thing that's a game changer is once how you do that patient follow up and how you call the patients, text them, really still follow up to see how they're doing after the reset.
Correct. That is my favorite part. I think sometimes I'm more nervous than the patient because we do follow you through this journey for about 2 years. So after the initial right side and left side is completed, I will personally call you the next day on day one. And that's just a check-in to make sure physically everything is okay, you're feeling okay, there's no adverse effects, there's anything that we need to know about. It's pretty simple. We don't really delve into the how are you feeling? You know, we kind of put that on pause a little bit, unless you want to share. Like I said, people sometimes get immediate relief. So they do want to share it, which is great. And I love to hear those things. Then I will call you about a week out, about 7 days out, and we'll do another check-in. The reality is sometimes people take longer to feel benefit. Not everyone gets that immediate relief, and that doesn't mean it didn't work. Sometimes it just takes the nervous system a little bit longer to recalibrate. And so they may not feel it day one, but by day 7, they may actually have had great benefit where that anxiety is down, where they feel lighter, where they feel calmer, where they feel happier or able to sleep. There's all kinds of great things that I've heard over the time that I've been here. And after that, we are going to follow you 30, 60, 90, literally every month for about 2 years. And we will call you for the first 6 months just to do a check-in and connect with you. And if something is still there, like I call them, sometimes people can have residual things, like it's working a lot, it's helping me through this, it's helping me through that. But maybe there's some other stuff kind of lingering around. We will find some resources that could look like a therapist, a yoga instructor, equine therapy. I have a laundry list in my computer that I have started to accumulate for whatever people need.
And
And if we can help them, we will.
and you learn from them and build that relationship and you root for them and they continue process because it is just the beginning. Now you can process things. So that's
Yes.
the kind of thing. If I'm correct, and I want you to kind of to summarize it better than I am, you can process things now. You can look at things in a different light. You can see things in a different lens than you ever seen things before. You are able to enjoy things more that you didn't enjoy before, and all those different things that also seems scary because that protect mechanism kept you protected. So explain that process that what everyone pretty much that goes through the NSR treatment has that feeling that they finally do are able to process things. They're able to be off of that fight and flight mode, but then they have to deal with things that they might have not been able to deal with because of being in fight and flight.
That is correct. So I call it, and I am not a clinical person, as we know. I call it the brain and body connection. It's like where they come together finally. That prior to the treatment, I like to use the example of road rage, right? Because I feel like everyone can relate to road rage. So you're driving down the street and someone cuts you off, and prior to treatment, you're at a 10. You're really
Right.
roughed up. You're angry. You want to say a bunch of obscenities. You might want to throw something out the window at them. You might want to drive after them. I mean, there's a laundry list of things that people like to do. Um, and the problem is your brain is like, why are you doing this? What are you doing? But your body can't let go of that rage that you're feeling inside or that anxiousness that you're feeling inside. After the treatment, in the same scenario, you have a fleeting moment of, oh gosh, that person is a real jerk. And then all of a sudden you're like, hmm, you know what? Maybe they have somewhere they really need to be. And it just keeps and it just lets go. You just let go. So instead of sitting in it and stewing in it, and then it ruined the rest of your day or ruined the interaction that you have after you were driving, now you're able to come back and just reset, literally, and be able to go about your day as normal, which is amazing to see that transformation in people. I want to give you a great example, Neil, because I think this will resonate with a lot of people out there. I had a patient that I called about 30 days out from treatment, and he said, I truly can't thank you and your team enough. He said, I go to church every Sunday. Every Sunday, I go to church with my family, and I am not really there. I'm always scanning the room, looking for threats, not really listening to what is going on. I'm nervous about my kids. I'm nervous about the crowd. I don't feel safe. I feel uncomfortable. My anxiety is at 300. I'm sweating. My palms are sweating. And the list went on.
Mhm.
He said, I've been going to church now since this treatment, and I could tell you word for word everything the priest said. It's the first time I've been able to be present
Mm.
in the moment. And that to me, brings tears to my eyes. It's so humbling to hear that because that's what we want people to feel.
Well, best place people can go and talk to Julie so that they can consider this treatment. Because if you're going through lots of hard times, this is a way to, if you tried every types of therapy possible and you want to feel peace, definitely contact Julie and the team at Reset. Best place to go is reset.com and then thereset.com and then where else?
Yeah, come to our website at www.theresetcenter.com. Or you can call us at 877-737-3810. You're welcome to ask for me directly if you would like. I would love to speak with you.
All right. We appreciate it, Julie. Thanks again.
Thanks.
You're welcome. You're listening and watching The Neil Haley Show and the special simulcast, The Neil Haley Show, and the Reset Medical and Wellness Podcast, guys. Take care.